Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the channel, our channel. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm a little nasally because I'm got this head cold. Can't shake. Keeps coming back like a bad habit. Hopefully, I'll clear that up once I get a hot shower. Feel a little bit better. Go get some wonton soup. But I'm excited because tomorrow's payday. All I got to do is make it to payday. Excuse me. So it's another episode of Story Time. Forget what number we're up to, maybe 135, something like that. But this is a sad but cool story I'm about to tell you. Something that just transpired recently. I feel like a jackass in a way, but could have a happy ending. You know, light at the end of the tunnel. Could be an amazing success story, and I already think it is. So, I had a part-time job doing landscaping work for a couple in Milton, and they were very nice to me. Paid cash daily, and that kind of helped keep me alive. And before I got promoted, and but it was just between the two jobs and the living situation, I was exhausted, just burnt out. So now I have my mornings where I can come down to the river, enjoy life, reflect on life, hopefully get clarity for my future. But this story is something that happened a couple of nights. It happened over a couple nights. But when I left that part-time job, I suggested one of the kids, young adult, 18 years old, who's a really good worker. I suggested him to be my replacement. They interviewed him. They're very, very happy with him. He does good work. Well, he goes to school, technical trade school for HVAC. And he has a friend in his classes or whatever, who, wanted and needed a part-time job. Well, it's pretty much a full-time job, the hours the other kid works. So apparently he interviewed with one of the front end managers, and they put a star next to his name. This was a friend of the other kid that already works for us, and they said, definitely hire this guy. You interview this guy, and he's been nothing but a rock star. He is just amazing. So at the end of the first night, me just being me, having the eloquent speech that I can spew out at times, I let the young man know. I'm not going to say his first name, but it starts with a G. So I said, hey man, I just want to let you know, man, you did phenomenal tonight. You were outstanding. It's so refreshing to have somebody with a brain that can comprehend on the first time. You don't have to babysit. And I said, man, I just really appreciate your hustle. And our job doesn't pay what I would say great, but it's an income. It is what it is. So I'm telling him that, and me, it being the smartass that I am, I'm complimenting him, and I said, I'm not really used to having like good people like you, because I'm used to crackheads and meth heads and felons. And he says, he's real polite young man, just turned 19. He says, well, sir. He goes, I know about. I forget how he said it exactly, but I'm going to paraphrase. He says, sir, I know what meth can do. It destroyed my family. That's why I no longer have my parents. And I just like, oh my God. And then I immediately apologized to him. I thought I was being funny, and I realized what I didn't think of could be a situation. So he's been in the foster care system most of his life since he's probably, I forget what he told me, 10, 11, 12 years old. Told me this last night. And so he's been bounced around like many foster kids do. A lot of the foster homes just use that as a source of income. I hate to say it, but it's a damn reality. And a lot of the other ones do it out of, abundance of love and care and such. So he told me he had, I think, 3 other siblings, and they're all separated from the system. They were never housed together. His one sister he still has communication with is in Pensacola. Another one, he told me where his other brother is, I guess for whatever reason they don't communicate. And then he has an older sister. He told me where she moved to, but she's, I think, early 20s, and she moved somewhere else and apparently is doing okay. So I got talking to him because I was feeling like really, really humbled. Because I know what it's like growing up in a screwed up family. And I'm angry to this day about growing up in a screwed up family. I'm still suffering from it today. And then as I'm talking to this young man, I realize, wow, this is a dude that's been dealt the worst hand possible, and he's making life happen. If I could do it all over again, I would love to be in his shoes or have his wisdom at 19 years of age. So I asked him, I was like, if you don't mind me asking, where do you live? Like, how do you get by? Because you're going to school, you just started a job. How, and he says, well, since I've been in the system so long, I get assistance from the state, and they help me with housing. So he's 19 years old, has his own little apartment somewhere in Milton, and he's a really cool kid. I'm almost in tears. I mean, I'm that close to losing my cookies here. So the more and more I talk to him, the more and more impressed I am with him. So we got talking a little bit, and I kept talking to him. I said, you know what? You have an amazing story. You have an amazing success story. You may not realize it, but you are already a success in life. And we got talking about that. And I didn't tell him the name of the channel, but I kind of threw out the feeler. I said, would you, I said, I have a small YouTube channel. Would you ever be interested in telling your story? Because I think it's very valuable. I'm like, I don't want to put him in an uncomfortable situation. And he says, oh, do you do like podcasts? And I said, I do some. I said, I just did one recently in reference to like hunting and fishing and outdoors that I thought went very well. But I think yours could be really successful. But because he's young, and I definitely feel like he trusts me, and he has no problem sharing one-on-one with me. I'm not really going to push the issue. I may put out one more feeler, but it would be interesting to see, for you to see how grown up and mature this young man is through all the adversity he's gone through in his life, his young, short life already. And I kid you not, if I was financially secure, I'd find a way to help this dude out. And I'm 62, living in a van, homeboy is 19. He's got his own crib. And I'm like, daggone it. It's like, I'm happy for him. You know, it was like, he's hopefully not going to make the same mistakes I did. But, you know, you sometimes you're dealt the cards that, you know, you've got to play the game with. And so there was something else there I was going to say. So we talked briefly, and ironically, the other young man and this guy, his name starts with a G. I love that already. Anything with a G has got my endorsement. But it turns out their instructor, their HVAC technical trade school, whatever you want to call that, instructor came in last night and bought a ton of meats. And tomorrow on Friday, they're rewarding the students with a big throwdown, a big pulled pork and brisket meal for all the students, because I guess they've been doing pretty well, and it's that time of year where they reward them. And so I got talking to, I said, hey man, if you don't mind me asking, how are these two guys doing? And he was kind of like me. He cuts up a little bit, and he says, well, they're just barely getting by. And then he laughs and chuckles. He goes, no, they're doing good. So these two young fellows already, they're smart, because so many people go to college to get a degree. They're paying for it. Some of those people that got school loans want the rest of the people to pay for their loans and stuff like these kids are going to trade school, learning a good trade. So if I had to guess, when these kids come out, going to trade school, coming out of trade school, having multiple degrees, certificates, and I would say they're probably going to make $22 an hour minimum, if not more. And then there's probably, I know in that field, there's a lot of overtime available. But anyway, so the foster care system, the adoption system, the drugs, all that, just like, that always bothered me. And this kid's got it all thrown into his lap at the same time, and he's beating life. He's kicking life's ass. He has, he has difficulties. And he was telling me one other story. He had a relationship with a young lady around his age, apparently. He told me, I want to say it was multiple years. I think he said 4 years. And then she broke up with him because she was cheating on him, and with an older man about 14 years older than her. And so he's torn up about that, but he's still got his head on his shoulders. He's like, he's very distraught about that relationship problem. And so I'm going to, do my best to encourage him every day to, keep on pushing. And, he's a great example of what our future should be about. Responsibility, taking ownership, and busting your ass to get ahead. So with that being said, I'm going to take my nasally voice off the tubes, as Ted would call it, the tubes, and go blow my nose and get ready for work, take a hot shower. But anyway, that's story time. I think it's episode 135. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember, think of others, try and help others, be compassionate towards others. All right, that's what this Thursday's about.